500-600 point range is where it is stuck for almost 10 days now. Are you even looking at indices, or you're focusing on your own personal spaces and ideas?
No, we are focusing on the index
Okay.
because broadly speaking, I have been anticipating a correction to start this month. We haven't seen much of a decline yet, but I do think a lot more is pending as we go into the month end. We've probably made the high, I think, right at the first, day of the year. I would have thought maybe it could have made one more new high sometime by mid of Jan, but now we're on to the 10th already. So we are at a critical support, which is the 20-day average. So I'll put that number out, 21,480. The bank Nifty already broke that level, but Nifty has not. So that is what we are going to be watching out for today. If we do manage to close below that number, then it clearly gives us a move down to around 21,000 to start with. So that becomes the initial move. And the possibility that, on weekly charts, if we do remain, down below 21,000, then we even go towards 20,500. So that is the setup. But yes, stage by stage, we are looking for that to really confirm. We haven't seen weakness at all in the mid and small cap space. So I think that is probably where you really want to see the reversals coming in, because even the monthly RSIs have become expensive. And so broadly, we are looking for a correction, trying to figure out which are the weak sectors during this time period. While there is still some action in individual stocks, I think it's time to really step back and take cognizance of the situation.
Right. Rohit, I want to understand some of the stocks which are making big moves. Just for the no buy sell or trade recommendation. Let me qualify, but there are factors which are driving stocks in direction. So just wanted to understand the setup. There was a bit of a negative news on Vedanta today, this morning, because of Moody's coming out with a negative note regarding the financial condition at the company level. There was a sharp gap down opening, but the stock has recovered full ground. How does the chart look for Vedanta and metals? Would you be a buyer in metals on declines?
Yeah, so I think the second part of the question is more interesting. Vedanta, for some reason, has been hit by a lot of negative news. I was quite bullish on it till 22. Right now, it's like on a wait and watch. It did look like it's made a bottom near 2005, which was a double bottom, because in May, June of 2022, also it bottomed there. Then it went up. It came back and touched that level, and it has bounced back from there again. But when we look at Vedanta with respect to the metal sector, one, it has underperformed the metal sector. And second is, metals themselves are among the weakest performing sectors of. So if I actually run a query on Strike, and I'm just checking the performance from 1st to 9th of January, just to see what are the best performing and worst performing sectors, because that is how we would focus. So if we actually a little more bearish, then we look for where is the weakness. And surprisingly, even though IT is slightly up today, the weakest sector is actually IT. So it's down 2.9%. And the second weakest is actually metals, which is 2.39%. And the third is actually banking. So these then become our top three weak sectors where we would actually think of selling on every rise. And that is where metals comes in. So I do think the metals do see weakness because of both the possibility that you might have a strong dollar, which is typically bad for commodities. In fact, copper prices. So here's the big anomaly in metals, is that commodity prices have actually not rallied. Stocks in the metal space, whether it's Hindalco, Nalco, all did very, very well in the last month or two. But the underlying commodity prices have not actually gone up in the same time that much. And so there is that anomaly between price and action. So then you're saying, okay, prices are up only because demand may have expanded that much, which then we'll have to actually look at, do the earnings numbers really justify a demand expansion? So if there's an anomaly between price and the underlying commodity price action, so it comes back to what I just saw as an observation, that the metals has been one of the weakest segments of the last 10 days and would be a place where we would actually look at selling.
Rohit, another stock from the NBFC/lender space, Manappuram. It has been a good mover in the last few series. Again, an F&O stock, but got hit today, this morning, on the news that there are some certain queries coming in regarding the Ashirvad Finance, the subsidiary IPO plans by the regulator. There was a gap down again and has recovered since then. How do the charts look for Manappuram?
Yeah, I'll just repeat the disclaimer. We are really not investment advisors. So I'll just explain the levels. Manappuram, for some reason, underperformed a lot. There was a lot of negative news flow in 2021. The stock price actually went back to where it was in 2019 almost, and 2020, which is at around 78 rupees, and then has recovered from there. So it's hit those levels, 78, 80 rupees, couple of times in the last 4, 5 years, and then recovered again and again, but not really broken out on the upside. The upside has been typically near around 190 or so, and we're getting close to that. So we saw it, top out there in 2019. Then again in 2021, it went a little above that till 210, 220, then sold off. Now we are back at that level. So on a 5-year basis, we are close to the top end of the range. Will we really go beyond that 5-year range? Again, in every cyclical commodity sector, we have to look at two things. One is what is the commodity price doing, which is gold. And second is, is there really growth happening in terms of numbers? Now, somehow numbers have not been coming through if we look at the data for, Manappuram. So then that leaves us with gold prices. Gold prices have been very good, but even then the stock has not performed. So it sort of tells us that something is not appropriate. And now if I look at the recent momentum, gold has actually been cooling off after it hit a new high. So we'll really watch if whether gold prices can break out beyond the highs and continue to rise, and that can be a trigger. And if that doesn't happen, then what else would you really look for now that you're back near the highs of 2022?
Sure, quite a few moving parts there for Manappuram in terms of IPO, gold prices, and of course the inherent weakness that you're witnessing. Rohit, on that note, we let you go. Appreciate you making time and joining 18 Hour today. But time now to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll speak with the management of Cupid. Mr. Aditya Halvasya will join us to talk to us about the business prospects.